If you have a travel trailer, I bet you've experienced something like this at one point or another. The little plastic flapper in this thing is very cheap, and the little bits that hinge on the inside of the vent are thin and brittle and break off very easily. Some people say that when you don't properly connect this to the trailer before you travel and lock it in, it will break off with the wind. We actually haven't ever forgotten to connect those, and they still ended up breaking. So I went to Amazon and saw that you can get a replacement for this for approximately $11, but I don't want to get a replacement when it's just going to come with the same cheap plastic nubs on the edge of it. So I decided to come up with a fix for this. So in order to fix this flap, I'm going to need a couple tools. Number one, I'm going to need some duct tape. Number two, I'm going to need some machine screws. The screws that I got are number 6, and they are 3 inches long. I got these from Lowe's for about $1.30. So you can get these too if you want to. These are just approximately the same size as the tiny little piece of plastic that goes in the hinge section for this flapper. So these will be approximately the same size to fit into the existing vent assembly. And the third thing I'm going to use, which always comes in handy for me, is my multi-tool. This is a Victorinox multi-tool. I will post a link to this in the description of the video, but this one comes in very handy for clipping things and cutting things. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up these machine screws. Now I'm only going to need 2 of them, so I'm going to take these nuts off of them. And I'm going to figure out approximately just how long I want them to be. So I'm going to take the original nub that was on the edge of this and find out exactly how far off that goes. Then I'm going to line this screw up and see how far I'm going to cut the plastic on this section. Now to make this a bit easier, what I'm going to do is go ahead and try to cut off some of this screw. I'm going to try to cut off the screw head because I don't want that to be on in the final product. So both of these screws now have their screw heads removed, and I'm going to find out approximately how long I want this section to be. So if this screw comes all the way out from this fin exactly where that white piece of plastic is, then it would need to start being screwed down right here. So what I'm going to do is cut off this top plastic part so that I can tape this in, and I'm going to mark that with my knife. All right, so essentially I'm just going to cut off the ridged part of this plastic fin right at the top along where this screw needs to be taped in place. And as you can see, putting this into plier mode makes it easy to just sort of bend it and crack it off along the cuts that I've made here. So then that side's off, I'm going to go ahead and sand it down a little bit to get it smoother. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So you can see to go down the top, I'm just sort of gently going back and forth, and the plastic is so soft that the knife sort of goes right through it. Once I've gone through that a couple times, I'm going to go ahead and get the pliers back out and gently pry this off. Now that that piece of plastic's off, let's sand it down. All right, so the next task is going to be to add these posts onto this and duct tape them on in place. And you don't need much duct tape, just enough to hold this on there. So I've got about a ½ inch in each direction on the front and the back of this flap to duct tape it on. So basically I'm just going to take this post and press it up against the area that I cut out, and then I'm going to apply the duct tape on top of it. Make sure that's nice and straight, and then press it down on both sides. Now something to note here is to make sure you have the smooth side of the screw on the outside that you did not cut with your pliers. Just make sure that you don't have it catching on anything or making it difficult for this to swing back and forth inside. Once you get the first piece of duct tape, go ahead and place another one to go all the way to the edge to make sure this is really secure. Now that side's nice and secure, let's move to the next side. All right, both of those are in nice and tight. Now let's put it back on the vent. Now in order to get this vent off back enough in order to slide the flap in, you're gonna need to loosen the 2 screws on the outside. So you've got 1 screw on the bottom over here and another screw on the bottom on the right side. So these 2 screws on my particular trailer, this was made in Canada, so these are Robertson screws, which is these sort of square head screws. And I'm going to loosen both of those. So once both of those are loosened, you'll be able to sort of lift this out a little bit, which is all you need. And you're just gonna slide this flap up and make sure that you see it go in the 2 holes that these will actually fit in at the top of the opening up here in the vent. And now that the vent's back up there, you'll see that when you turn the fan on, it works. And that's a great feeling to know that you fixed this and it's not likely to break again. The only thing that might happen is that the duct tape might lose a bit of its stickiness and you'll just need to take it out and sort of re-solidify the duct tape on there, squeeze it down a little bit more, maybe even apply fresh duct tape. So this is how you fix the flap on your vent on your RV, and hopefully it will not break on you again. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out my video where I go over the entire trailer, this Escape 19, show you all the features and bells and whistles of it so you can get the tour. I'm Casey Friday, catch you in the next one.